Hi. So, I normally talk about things I like on this channel, topics I have a positive opinion about, but today we are going to talk about Steven Moffat. So, whoops, all aboard the pissed off train, I guess. I will do my best to stay calm as much as I can, but no promises. This was a really hard script to write and stay coherent, so if I seem rambly or ranty, well, I tried. Let me begin by saying that I am not caught up on Doctor Who. I left the show right around the time that Clara started traveling with the Doctor, convinced that a new companion was not going to save the series in my heart. I have heard whisper and rumor of things that have happened since then, both good and bad, and I did watch the 50th special, but I'm a Whovian on hiatus from Doctor Who. I blame Steven Moffat for this. I also only made it 2 seasons into Sherlock before bailing, and for a lot of the same reasons. You see, here's the thing about Moffat. Setting aside for now that he can't write women or minority characters to save his life, Moffat, like many other writers, like George Lucas or Brannon Braga, with single episodes or heavy producer oversight, he can write some fantastic stories. Stories that Moffat wrote while Davies was showrunner are some of the show's best. Empty Child, Blink, Girl in the Fireplace, Silence in the Library are all very strong, very interesting episodes. Flawed in their own ways, sure, but strong enough on their own to be fan favorites. When put in charge of a whole show, when producer and editorial oversight begin to dwindle, all the flaws in the writing balloon out of control. We saw it with the Star Wars prequels, we saw it in Star Trek Enterprise, and we certainly see it in Moffat's Doctor Who run. At least the seasons I watched of it. And look, before we go further, I'm not saying that Davies was a perfect showrunner, or that his run was without fault. His run was very different in tone and execution than Moffat's. Davies had a very episodic run, with his overarching plots, like Bad Wolf, hinted at very subtly and slowly building to finales. It was campy sci-fi. And well, Moffat likes big stories where the whole universe is at stake all the time. His stories in that first season with Amy and Eleven felt more like a fairy tale than sci-fi. His big plots were mystery and big neon lights all the time, and which you prefer is a matter of opinion. And, well, my opinions will soon be very clear to you. Spoiler warning for all of Doctor Who, basically, at least the new stuff, and some of Sherlock. There's a lot here to dig through, and I could rant about Moffat for days, but let's stay focused, for now, on the Weeping Angels. I think they are an easy place to start. The Weeping Angels are fan favorite monsters, and this makes sense if you look at their first episode, Blink. But as time went on, as Moffat took over the show, the Weeping Angels got sucky. And sucky in a way that I think really demonstrates some of the biggest flaws in Moffat as a writer. The Weeping Angels have 3 major appearances in Doctor Who, along with a smattering of smaller cameos. Blink, Time of the Angels, and Flesh and Stone, and The Angels Take Manhattan. So let's dig in. Blink is Series 3, Episode 10. This is still in 10's run with Martha as the companion. It's really fun to watch. The Doctor and Martha only make small cameo appearances. Instead, our focus is on Sally Sparrow, our heroine for the story, and the mystery of the monsters themselves. The Doctor has gotten separated from his TARDIS, and he and Martha are stuck in 1969. Sally Sparrow must figure out what monsters are in this house and find a way to help the Doctor using clues, all while not getting grabbed herself. This is a really fun episode. The mystery is good, the time travel is used to enhance the story in really interesting ways, and the Weeping Angels are legitimately scary and cool. Now, there are some weird race and gender things going on. The whole scene with Kathy getting dropped in the past and then having her future husband basically badger her is a cringy way to portray the beginning of a relationship. And the stuff with Billy, the only black guy in the episode, getting murdered for the drama is not ideal. But if you were just watching this episode in isolation, these are easy to overlook. They only get really uncomfortable if you start noticing trends. We'll come back to that. But what makes this episode work is that the angels make sense. The angels are aliens. They turn into stone when they are observed as a defense mechanism. They can only move when unobserved. The Doctor describes this as a quantum lock. They pull people back in time to feed off the potential of the lives they left behind. This is all established and stays consistent throughout the episode. Now, let's look at the next appearance of the angels, the Time of Angels and Flesh and Stone. We're into Moffat's run now, but back when it was still setting up plot points and was, well, watchable. The Doctor and Amy get recruited by River Song to help deal with a group of weeping angels that are starving and holed up in a maze near the wreckage of a spaceship. This was River Song's second appearance, back when we knew almost nothing about her, when she still seemed pretty badass and mysterious and interesting. Sadly, these are all traits that would diminish the longer Moffat wrote her. We'll come back to that later. This episode is before all that. River is still cool and smart, and it's fine. River is still a promising character in this episode. And Amy does get put in mortal peril, again, because Moffat loved putting Amy in mortal peril for some reason. Poor Amy. But okay, we're talking about the angels. This is where the angels start to get screwed up. The angels here are starving, which apparently allows them to override their quantum lock thing and move even when observed, because hunting overrides defense in their starving state. Sure. And they are killing people now instead of dragging them back in time. Why? And when they move, they're still made of stone? I thought they were only stone when they quantum locked. Like, they give a reason for why they are breaking the rules here, but this is only the second time we've seen the angels. So this doesn't feel like we're spicing things up and changing a well-known rule. It feels like Moffat only had one idea about the angels, and after he used that up, he had to change how the angels worked to get another story out of them. It just doesn't work as well. What really messes things up is this bit, though. The Doctor is reading a book about the angels and notices it has no pictures. He reads, "Whatever takes the image of an angel becomes itself an angel." Again, the Doctor reads this in a book about the angels. So this is not just a starving angel thing. This is apparently something that is true for all of them forever. Put a pin in that. We'll come back to that.